Okay. I said I'm gonna read, spend 30 minutes or an hour reading the Bible, Genesis, and to give you atheists my point of view. Now I only do one take. I'm not going to uh if it's gonna sound quite off, doesn't matter because in the end of the day, I just wanna speak from my heart and my mind what from my understanding from listening to the Genesis, from Genesis 1 to 9. And here's something that I picked up when I was listening to it that I think a lot of atheists forget. And I'm sure a lot of atheists may be talking, how did God create the earth in 7 days? How did he create, how did he get all these animals in the ark? I'm sure a lot of atheists will ask a lot of questions that it doesn't matter. Those are not the type of questions or answers I'm looking for. When I'm listening to Genesis, I'm listening to Genesis to find out if the nature of God is the same as the nature of man. And something I feel like a lot of atheists seem to forget, and this is me from my one take listening to it, they forget, they did not ask themselves this question: why did God not kill Cain? Cain killed Abel. So why did God not kill Cain? And what I also found so fascinating, just listening to it, is how God commanded man, like we men are born to create. So me making this audio, that's what we are born, to share knowledge. And another thing I found interesting in Genesis was the fact that God did not want man to be alone. You think to yourself, how much loneliness there is in this world, and how God, in the beginning of time, did not desire for man to be alone. And when you really think about it, right, why are so many people alone? Why are so many lonely people in this world? And you'll find that a lot of it got to do with lust, if we have to be honest. I mean, if I have to be honest, that knowledge of good and evil, and I feel like a lot of people through the internet, whatever it may be, we are so alone. And the reason why we do not desire marriage to have children, and why there is so many people who are gay, if you want to say it, or who are committing abortion, is due to the fact that whatever it is that we are consuming, whatever we are watching, whatever it is that we believe that the world is trying to tell us, has told us a lie. You think about it, the world has told us a lie. And what I find interesting when I listen to Genesis is that how patient God is. You think about it, when I was thinking about how many years God had to put up with the evil of men. What if you read how old a lot of the people were, 600, 800 years? So what I see is man has been sinning, killing people for 1,000 years before he decided to wipe the whole earth off. And what's more interesting is that, and this is why I I don't think people in the atheists or people do not really read the Bible really carefully. Because if you read from Genesis 9 onwards, you actually find how God changed everything with Noah. Like if you read from the beginning, right? We weren't meant to eat animals, right? We were not meant to eat them. We're supposed to eat fruits, apples, veggies, whatever, right? We were meant to not eat animals. We're supposed to look after them, take care of them. But after the flood, everything changed. And you may say, from that moment, which people do not realize, that God also made a law where if another man takes a life of another man, that that man that that man has the right to die. There's some things that are left out. I now start to think it's coming back to me, right? When I was listening to Genesis from 1 to 9, number one, Cain. Was Cain, is he? I've always thought that black people were cursed by Ham. That's what I thought. That's what I believed, right? But now, when I come to think about it, I'm just starting to realize and my mind is now starting to think to myself that Cain is the father of the black race, not Ham. Ham is, so that's something I'm going to find out later on, but I'm starting to really think and realize to myself that Cain is the father of all people, of all the dark race, black people, Africans, Melanesians, Aborigines, Dravidian Indians. They are all part of Cain. And I say this because when you really look around and you really ask yourself that question, I don't say this in a negative way towards black people. Why is it like you think, if you look all around the world, why are black people the most undeveloped, the most poor? I always keep thinking this in my mind. Like, why is it like they never, uh, gone to the moon? How come they, even today, if you go to Africa, they'll be probably playing like PlayStation 2, instead of PS6. They're probably like, I don't know, watching a television that was built in the early 2000s and driving cars in 1960. So that was one thought that was going through my head. And another thought that struck me was when I was listening to the story of Genesis, was how God walked with Enoch. That's something that really went into my mind, like God walking with Enoch. Was that Christ? Was that God coming as man, walking? We have not heard that story. And I feel like to myself that would be a very interesting story to find if I could find it. The story of Enoch. And if you read it, he's the only one out of all the men, or of all the sons, that was taken to heaven. Of Adam's sons, was taken to heaven. Or taken somewhere, I'm not too sure. So this shows to you clearly that whether that God was created, that we men are created image of God. The likeness of God could look just like us, human, but in a spiritual form.